All right. Dave Gutierrez says coffee and curry. Good to be back to your routine. Welcome back, everyone. Ronald, what's up to you as well? Yes, we are back on the grind. We've kind of gotten past those November holidays, Thanksgiving, obviously, followed by Black Friday, and we could kind of get back into our routine a little bit. I did take Thursday off as there were no NBA games, but I did hit you guys back with a Black Friday edition of the ever so popular prop player research live stream. So here we are again, back at it on a Monday morning. Good morning to everyone out there, or if you're watching the replay, hashtag replay gang. Good morning to you, good afternoon to you, or good evening, whatever time you may be watching this live stream. It's good to have all of you back. We surpassed 2,600 subscribers since we last met, so we're definitely hitting some goals here. Of course, the big goal, it's going to be a tough one, but the month of December, we need to add about 400 new subscribers. So if you're not subscribed yet, please go ahead, hit that subscribe button now. Make sure that notifications are turned on so when I go live, you guys don't miss out on any of this helpful, useful, valuable player prop content, and definitely drop a like on this stream if you haven't yet. We've been hitting 100 or more likes with great regularity, and I think we can keep it up because you guys have been very supportive of this. You seem to really like this format, so we're going to keep it going, guys. So definitely need your support. We're trying to get to 3,000 subscribers by January 1st, so definitely make sure, double check that you're subscribed. Share this with a friend. Do all the things that they always ask you to do on these YouTube videos. Good morning to Color Hype. Good morning to George. Good morning to Wesley. Wesley is a longtime supporter of mine. He's been my A1 day one for a long time now. He's a Patreon member, a longtime YouTube subscriber, and just an awesome member of the community that we have going over on Discord. So if you want to be a part of that community, you can definitely check it out. Patreon links down in the description below. Discord links down in the description below. Basically, I try to post something exclusive every single day to Patreon as a thank you for supporting me and my work. So definitely check out Patreon, and we've got a good solid group of player prop fans over here on Discord. So good morning to Lackey, Chris, Hayden, ready to make some more money. Chris says he hit $1,500 using some of the picks. Awesome. Love to hear that. I think we did land on some pretty good ones on Friday when we last met together. Duran says Dort over 1.5 assists, Lonzo over 11.5 points. All right. Hold your horses, Duran Cheese. We're going to get to all of those player props in just a moment. Elijah, good morning to you. Travis is back up in the building. Let's get some money tonight. I agree with that. That is a thing, a mission that I'm all about, getting more money. John, hey. Christopher Money, good morning to you. Christopher Pringle, the Pringle man's back up in the building. Trevor says, bing bong. Yo, what's up to you? Christopher Pringle says he won $100 million yesterday. Hey, man, send a little bit of that my way. Go ahead and butter my bread a little bit, brother. I'll take a little chunk of that, like, 0.01% would be nice. GDGF, yo, what's happening to you? All right, guys, we got 32 people up in here. Let's go ahead and start looking at today's NBA slate. We got 9 games we got to talk about, starting things off here at 7 p.m. Eastern time. Orlando Magic, of course, that's my squad. We're 4-17, having a struggle of a year. Taking on the Philadelphia 76ers for the Magic. We got to keep an eye on Mo Bamba and Terrence Ross. Of course, the usual suspects continue to sit out for Orlando. Jonathan Isaac, Michael Carter-Williams, Markelle Fultz, Cole Anthony. I don't think he's going to be back tonight. And Etuan Moore. For the Philadelphia 76ers, Shake Milton and Ben Simmons, probably the most impactful injuries from that game. Let's move it on down to the next game, 7:30 p.m. We've got the Denver Nuggets at the Miami Heat. Jamal Murray considered a game-time decision. I don't think he's coming close to returning to the Denver Nuggets lineup. The big one we got to keep an eye on is Nikola Jokic, who's missed a couple of games here recently. Michael Porter Jr. continues to sit out for Denver. And then over on the Miami side, we've got 2 swing men for the Miami Heat who might miss tonight. Both game-time decisions. I'm talking about Tyler Herro and Jimmy Butler. So no Herro, no Butler potentially. We've got to keep an eye on that injury news. 8 p.m. Indiana Pacers at Minnesota T-Wolves. Not really big injury news from this one. We've got TJ Warren, obviously continues to sit out for the Indiana Pacers, along with Patrick Beverley for the Minnesota Timberwolves. Oklahoma City Thunder at the Houston Rockets. Man, talk about two struggling teams. You could throw them in the same group with my Orlando Magic, both of the Oklahoma City Thunder and Houston Rockets not having very good years. Looks like we're going to have Jalen Green out for the Houston Rockets. That's probably the biggest injury news. You guys think John Wall ends up taking the court again for the Houston Rockets? I've seen his name coming up. Apparently he spoke to the Rockets GM Daryl Morey, wants to get back out on the court or just trade me or release me. John Wall's ready to ball. I don't know if he gets back out there for Houston. What do you guys think, though? Charlotte Hornets at the Chicago Bulls. We've got Mason Plumlee already ruled out for Charlotte. Patrick Williams ruled out for the Chicago Bulls. 8:30 p.m., Washington Wizards at San Antonio Spurs. The one that we need to keep an eye on is Spencer Dinwiddie, who missed the last game, if I'm not mistaken. Tonight, he is a game-time decision, so keep an eye on Dinwiddie. And then over on the San Antonio side, nothing too impactful. We've got Vassell, we've got McDermott as game-time decisions. 8:30 p.m., Cleveland Cavaliers at the Dallas Mavericks. Cedi Osman and Dean Wade, both game-time decisions. Colin Sexton, of course, tore his meniscus. He's going to miss a long period of time. Over on the Mavericks side, we've got Jalen Brunson and Reggie Bullock, both game-time decisions. So keep an eye out on those. 9 p.m. Portland Trailblazers at the Utah Jazz. We've got Norman Powell as a game time decision. That could be pretty impactful for the Portland Trailblazers. Royce O'Neal, a game time decision for the Utah Jazz. And then finally, the last game of the night, the ninth game, the late night hammer, the 10:30 p.m. game, New Orleans Pelicans at Los Angeles Clippers. We don't need to go too far into this, but Zion Williamson continues to sit out. But I hear that he's getting closer and closer to making his return. Can't wait to see Big Z back out on the court. For the Clippers, we've got Nick Batum, Kawhi Leonard as game time decisions from that one. So, not a huge slate, but also not a small slate. We've got a nice medium-sized 9-game slate. Up to 53 viewers. What's up to all 53 of you guys? Casey Wynn, good to see you this morning. Sid's up in the building again. Good to see you back again, Sid. Nas up in here. Yo, first time watching last Friday. Help me win a bet. Good looks, 100. Well, that's what I try to do, my friend. I try to get on here. We try to do some research together in real time. We try to jump on our favorite player props before the lines move too much over on PrizePicks, because the PrizePicks team, their lines makers stay on top of things. So hopefully, Nas, we could run this back and get you another dub today. Gio, what's up? Let's get some money tonight. I agree with that. Byron Sanders says he hit 5 of 5 on Friday. Good looks to you, Byron. Congratulations on that big win. That's a 10 times payout on PrizePicks. So if you don't play on PrizePicks yet, check it out. It's a great way to play your favorite NBA player props, but they also offer a ton of other sports. You got college basketball, NFL, NHL, soccer, tennis, CSGO for my esports heads out there. All you got to do, go to prizepicks.com, use promo code Curry, and any money that you put in up to $100 will be instantly doubled by using that promo code. There's a link down in the description to check it out. What else are we talking about? Sed's in the building. Good morning, Sed. He is here every single day, it seems like. Good to see you again, Sed. Eric's back. Eric, are you going to keep track of how many times I say this is a 9-game NBA slate? Are we going to have to drink every time I say it's a 9-game NBA slate? Remy, good luck to you too, buddy. G-Lo's back. G-Lo's got bars, y'all. That is not just his screen name or his handle. That's real life. G-Lo's really got bars. Boston, top of the morning to you. All right. So we talked about 9 NBA games. Let's go ahead, load up props.cash. Of course, if you have not checked out props.cash, $19.99 a month, guys. Get you access to NBA, NFL, NHL, and when MLB comes back around, you'll have access to that too. Just $19.99 a month for all access, all sports. If you want to check out props.cash and you haven't yet, maybe you're on the fence, maybe you have not discovered the greatness that is props.cash. Well, I've got a few vouchers for you to get your first month 25% off. Let's call it a Cyber Monday special for you who are still on the fence about props.cash. Here's what you want to do. Join my Discord. There's going to be a link down in the description below. Click the Discord, find me in there, CJ Curry, send me a DM, and I will send you a voucher to get 25% off of your first month on props.cash. Now, supplies are limited. Can't do this all day, every day, folks. So make sure if you want to take advantage of this deal, save yourself some bread on your first month of props.cash, you go ahead and hit me up ASAP. All right. So let's go ahead and look at these top point producers here on today's props.cash NBA player prop trends. So what I like to start off doing is change this split. Instead of looking at the season view, I like to look at a more recent sample size. So I go ahead and flip that over to the last 10 games. So in the last 10 games, let's take a look at who's been hitting and who hasn't been. Kristaps Porzingis, 19.5 points and 80% hit rate. Money so far is coming in on the under as a -114. Let's see if we have KP6 up on the board because he is playing a lot better this season. He's facing the Cleveland Cavaliers tonight. Now at 18.5 points, if we look at his last 5 games, he has gone over in 4 out of 5. So he's got an 80% hit rate in his last 5. And then in his last 10, he also has an 80% hit rate. So I think KP6 is somebody worth mentioning. Let's go ahead and take a look at Kristaps Porzingis. Now he's 19.5 out there on your favorite sports book. So he's actually a 1-point value play over on PrizePicks. Just another reason for you to check out PrizePicks. They're giving you a discount here of 1 point on Kristaps Porzingis. So if we look at his last 10 games, he's averaging 20.5 points per game over the course of the season. But the last 10 games, he jumps up to 22.8 points per game. So that represents over a 2-point per game increase when you look at the season averages versus the last 10 games. Now in his last 5, that 22 still holds up. Drops a little bit to 22.4, but nonetheless, over 22 points per game in his last 10 and his last 5 games. We don't have any previous matchups for Kristaps Porzingis versus this Cavaliers squad, but overall, you could see in his last 10 at 19.5 points, getting the job done. Now, if we bump this down to 18.5, not a whole lot changes. It still remains an 18% hit rate, so not really seeing any difference in those graphs that we get here on props.cash. Now, if we look at this matchup against the Cleveland Cavaliers, pretty tough team across the board here. You kind of get an idea. There's a lot of red up here, meaning this could be a difficult one for Kristaps Porzingis. Maybe that's why PrizePicks has taken him from 19.5, bumped him down to 18.5, because they know that this could be a tough game for him against Jared Allen, Evan Mobley, and company. Cleveland, 4th overall in points allowed, 15th in field goal percentage allowed. They do a good job at limiting 3-pointers and 3-point field goal percentage. Also do a great job limiting free throws allowed and power forward defense. So they're like top 10 in almost every metric here across the board. Now, looking at this game total, 210 points with a 6.5-point spread favoring the home team, the Dallas Mavericks. Kristaps Porzingis getting about 34 minutes per game in his last 5 games, so he's getting plenty of run. He's attempting nearly 16 shots per game, so things are looking pretty good here for Kristaps Porzingis. Getting plenty of run, plenty of shots up. He attempts some threes, but you can kind of see his 3-pointers are starting to decline here. They were up at 9 and 8 for these few games here, but they've come down to 7, 6, 4, 5, 3. So he's attempting a lot less threes in his last handful of games. So there you go on KP6. Let's go ahead and pull you up a points projection using Numberfire. Numberfire completely free, guys. So you can check out numberfire.com. That's just one of many free resources out there for you to help take your player prop research game to the next level. Now, we're looking at Kristaps Porzingis. They've got him projected at 19 points. So at 18.5, maybe we should be thinking about leaning toward the over, but at 19.5 points like he is on most of these sports books, could be a little more difficult here for Porzingis. So keep your eye on him. Notable, worth noting, that Porzingis does have that 80% hit rate, both in his last 10 games and his last 5 games. So at 18.5 points, he has been getting the job done. Let's take a look at some other player props. We got Darius Garland, also from this Cleveland-Dallas matchup, 18.5 points, 80% hit rate in his last 10 games, and you're seeing the money come in on the over at a -120. Now, another good situation here for us on PrizePicks. We're getting a discount on Darius Garland's points. He's sitting at 17.5, guys, instead of 18.5 like you're going to get him on most of your sports books out there. So we're seeing a little bit of a discount here. 28 points, 25 points, 24 points, 19 points, and 26 points. Ever since Colin Sexton's went down, this guy, Darius Garland, has been a madman for the Cleveland Cavaliers. He's getting all the shots he could want. So let's take a look at him real quick while we've got this game pulled up. Let's go and look at Darius Garland here and see if he is a worthwhile option. Maybe he's a player we take the over on his points. So at 18.5 points, we talked about in his last 10 games, an 80% hit rate. If we bump this down to 17.5, let's see what happens. Well, he maintains that 80% hit rate. Looking at his averages here, 18.7 points per game over the course of the season. But here's where things get juicy for Darius Garland. 21.3 points per game in his last 10 games, 23.6 points per game in his last 5. His scoring average is going through the roof. It's up almost 5 additional points versus where he was at for the course of the season, guys. So the scoring is definitely up for Darius Garland at 18.5 points. He is a favorite to go over, a betting favorite at -118. Now we go down here and we look at this matchup. It's a lot easier matchup for Garland than it was for Porzingis. Some highlights here. The Dallas Mavericks, they are just 27th in field goal percentage allowed, 24th in three-point field goal percentage allowed. So they're giving up a high percentage both on two-point attempts and on three-point attempts. They do rank 6th in point guard defense, though, so things could potentially be a little tough here for Darius Garland, but I think he's getting too much volume to ignore this point prop at 17.5. 36 minutes per game, getting plenty of run. Look at these field goal attempts in his last 5 games. You can see why I get so excited about taking the over on Darius Garland at 17.5. 26 attempts, guys. 22, 27, 19, 21. He's got the AI, the Allen Iverson green light here to shoot the rock as many times as he wants in a game. If you're telling me that a guy's going to get 23 field goal attempts and he's only at 17.5 points, not to mention, the guy takes a ton of threes, 13, 11, 10, 6, and 7. And he gets to the free throw line. So he's getting buckets, guys. He's getting buckets. I think 17.5 is just way too squishy, even in a potentially difficult matchup here against the Dallas Mavericks. Look, I'm not trying to be a salesman. I'm not trying to tell you what to do with your money. I'm just pointing out that this looks like a very good spot here for Darius Garland. The volume is just through the roof since Colin Sexton went down. 18.4 points per game, or points per game. Projected points tonight is his number on Number Fire, so that puts him over 17.5. Look, I ain't calling nothing a lock. I'm just saying it looks like a really good, really strong play for a guy who's going to get a ton of shots up. All right. We gave you a couple of overs here. We're not going to dig too far into any of these other ones, but let's just touch on them real quick. Dort at 17.5 points in his last 10 games, 70% hit rate. Money coming in on the over at -120. We got Jared Allen from this Cleveland-Dallas game sitting at 13.5 points, 70% hit rate for him in his last 10, -118. And then Rudy Gobert at 13.5 points. Also an interesting play, 70% hit rate in his last 10 games. Right now, he's even Steven, not seeing any money coming in on the over or the under. So those are your top 5 high hit rate plays, guys you should think about going over on. Now let's take a look at some of these guys you should think about going under on, as these are your top 5 low hit rate guys. We got Eric Gordon of the Houston Rockets, 15.5 points. They take on OKC tonight, just a 10% hit rate. He hasn't played a whole lot of games for Houston this season, though, so I'd be careful taking that one. Darius Bazley at 11.5 points with just a 20% hit rate. If they gave us him, which they did, but PrizePicks took him down to 10.5, this guy has really, really struggled to go over 10.5 points. I think he deserves some further evaluation, we'll call it. So let's take a look at Darius Bazley. He's at 11.5 points on your favorite sports book. For me, that's a no-brainer. You got to take the under. Now at 10.5, maybe it gets a little more tricky. Maybe it becomes a little bit more of a volatile situation, but you got to love what you're seeing here if you're thinking about going under on Darius Bazley at 11.5 or at 10.5. So at 11.5, he's only covered 12, or he's only went for 12 or more points in 2 games out of his last 10. That's just a 20% hit rate. You could see how things have gone in his last 8 games. 5, 7, 7, 4, 4, 4, 8, 8. He's consistently gone under both 10.5 and 11.5 points in 8 straight games. So if we take this number at 11.5 and we bump it down to 10.5, the hit rate stays the same. He still sits at right around 20%. Now, we do have a previous game log for Bazley. We actually got 2 previous game logs from this season where he's faced this same Houston Rockets team. We've got one from October 22nd. Drops just 5 points at Houston. And then back on November 17th, a couple weeks ago, just 7 points against Houston. So even in a squishy matchup here against the Houston Rockets, who are a bad team, Darius Bazley just isn't getting it done. He's just not scoring the basketball for Oklahoma City. So I think you could kind of tell that the under looks like a good way to go. Of course, if you look at the betting odds here, he's a minus 116 at the moment, a favorite to go under at 11.5 points. We go down here, we look at this Houston Rockets defense. There's a lot of green and a lot of yellow. So we talked about them being a bad team. This is a squishy matchup. But we've seen at least 2 games so far from this season where Darius Bazley hasn't gotten the job done, has not went over 10.5, has not went over 11.5 points. So despite the easy matchup, he's just not being asked to score a lot. That's not his role for this OKC team. 216.5 implied points with the Houston Rockets at the 2-point favorite mark here. So Darius Bazley, in terms of his minutes, seeing about 30 minutes per game in his last 5 games, which is right in line with where he's at for the course of the season in 10-game averages. Field goal attempts, not attempting a ton of shots. But I think the shots that he does take, he's just not hitting them. Look at these field goal percentage. They're terrible. Most of the time, they're well under 50%. So not a very good shooter or scorer. He takes a handful of threes per game, doesn't make a whole lot of them, shooting a pretty terrible percentage. So yeah, Darius Bazley, not a great scorer. Let's go ahead and take a look at a projection for him. They've got him projected for 12.9 points, almost 13 points against the Houston Rockets. I just don't see it. I haven't seen it. And I think you guys can kind of agree. 2 previous matchups against the Rockets, he's not getting it done. He's not even sniffing 13 points in his last 8 games. 8 straight games, he has gone under 10.5 and 11.5. So I say you just keep taking the under and see where it leads you. I just don't have any faith that this guy's really going to score 13 points tonight. Could it happen? Sure. Stranger things have happened. But yeah, I think Darius Bazley, you continue to go under until he proves otherwise. Christian Wood at 19.5 points, just a 20% hit rate this season, guys. Not doing a great job of covering his points prop when it's up there at 19.5. He's been a very volatile player this season. Nikola Vucevic at 16.5, just a 20% hit rate. And one other guy, kind of a surprise on this list, CJ McCollum at 21.5 points, just a 20% hit rate in his last 10 games. So there's a few unders to consider. We already talked about the overs. Let's go ahead, flip it over to the next category. We're going to look at some rebounds here over on PrizePicks. We'll switch things up on props.cash and look at the high hit rate, low hit rate guys for your favorite rebounders. Good morning to everybody who is just joining. Wow, we shot up to 91 while I was doing that breakdown of some of these point props. It's good to see everybody in here. We've got our lovely little spam bots up in the chat. You can't have a live stream without the spam bots. But hey, Wes, how's it going? He says he came across my content last night. He loves the daily content he provides for PrizePicks, and PrizePicks is awesome. Thank you, Wes. I appreciate that. Good morning to everybody else. How no? Happy Monday to you as well. Let's get this money. And to everyone else that I might have missed, Hawks fans up in here, recognize that name. Shot by Trees back in the building. Reggie's in here. Good to see you, Reggie. All right, let's go ahead and talk about some rebounds then. Josh Giddey, low key, has been smashing the rebound props. So let's look at his last 5 games: 7, 7, 7, 8, and 12. And that's a 100% hit rate at 6.5 boards. If we look at his last 10 games at 6.5 boards, an 80% hit rate. So you got a 100% hit rate in his last 5, and 80% hit rate in his last 10. So what's not to love here? He's also a minus 128 to go over. Let's take a look at Josh Giddey here as I mess everything up on props.cash. We could go ahead and while that's loading up, punch in Josh Giddey's name. Flip this from points over to total rebounds, and look at all this sweet green here in his last 10 games. 12, 9, 11, 12, 8, 7, 7. He's just been getting it done with or without SGA in the lineup. And at 6.5 boards, he's currently sitting at a minus 130 to go over. So the money coming in pretty hot and heavy here on the over at 6.5 boards. Averaging 7.3 rebounds per game for the season, but the averages go up. If you look at his last 10 and his last 5, over 8 rebounds per game. Now we mentioned these two teams have faced off twice already this season. In the first meeting back on October 22nd, I don't think Giddey was playing quite as many minutes, ended up with just 2 rebounds against Houston, but in this more recent sample that we have here from November 17th, he pulls in 11 boards, 11 rebounds against this same Houston Rockets team that he'll be facing tonight. So overall, you gotta love the 100% hit rate in his last 5 games, and you gotta love the 80% hit rate in his last 10 games. Let's go look at this matchup here. Houston, 20th. in rebounds allowed, giving up over 46 rebounds per game to opposing teams. So this is a very plus rebound situation for Giddey. Offensive rebounds, 18th, and defensive rebounds, 22nd, giving up over 36 defensive rebounds. So you got to love what you're seeing here from Giddey. He's getting plenty of minutes here in his last 5 games, getting about 31 minutes per game. And if you look at how his rebounds are made up, the green represents offensive rebounds. So he's all over the place, both defensive and offensive rebounds. This kid is absolutely cleaning the glass. Let's go ahead and get you a projection on Josh Giddey tonight, according to NumberFire. They got him projected for 7.2 boards. So I say we go right back to this prop. It's been hitting with a very, very high hit rate, both in a 5-game and 10-game sample size. All of his averages, his season, his 10, his 5-game averages, all are over 6.5. We've got projections that kind of support the fact that we should be leaning toward the over on 6.5. I just say smash the over and live with the results. There's no way in the world that you can convince me to go under on this prop. So it's either you take the over or you just don't play it. But I don't see why or how you could walk away from this prop looking as good as it does. So I think Josh Giddey makes for an interesting overplay at 6.5 boards. Let's see who else is sitting out there in the last 10 games with high hit rates. We talked about Giddey. We've got DeJounte Murray at 7.5 rebounds. Is he up on the PrizePicks board? Not at the moment. Not a ton of rebound props. But if you could get Murray at 7.5 rebounds and 80% hit rate in his last 10 games, so that's looking pretty good. Currently a minus 114 to go over as well, so that's nice. Jarrett Allen for the Cleveland Cavaliers, 10.5 boards. He's sitting at a 70% hit rate. Jarrett Allen is up on the PrizePicks board, taking on the Dallas Mavericks. Now for me, I've been taking big guys, big players against the Dallas Mavericks all season long, and it's been working out for me. So Jarrett Allen would fall right into that category of pretty decent big guys. So at the 10.5 rebound number, 70% hit rate, money's coming in, minus 118 on the over. I think we could look at some Jarrett Allen props in terms of rebounds and potentially take the over here. So let's go ahead, dig in a little bit further on Jarrett Allen. Now, total rebounds for Allen, the high hit rate at 70%. He's been getting the job done in his last 10 games. Even the games where he didn't quite get it done, like against Washington here, he still pulled in 10 boards, which gave us a real shot at going over. But 70% overall, guys. Can't be too mad at that. Let's look at his last 5 games. Just a 60% hit rate in his last 5. So not looking as good in the last 5 as he did in the last 10, but nonetheless, 11.2 rebounds per game over the course of the season, 12.7 in his last 10. 10.4 in his last 5, which is just barely under that 10.5 threshold that he's at today. Now, if we look at this Dallas defense, they do rank 17th in rebounds allowed, so not an overly difficult rebounding matchup for Jarrett Allen, but also not the easiest in the world, but it does lean more easy than hard for Jarrett Allen. Dallas giving up over 46 rebounds per game. Here's where they really struggle. Defensive rebounds, they're second to last in the league. They are very, very generous in terms of giving up defensive rebounds, almost 38 defensive rebounds per game. So there you go, Jarrett Allen. Now we go down here and we look at the minutes, getting about 33 to 34 minutes per game. We look at the defensive rebounds and offensive rebounds. He does a little bit of everything. He's just all over the glass most games here, guys. So let's go ahead, pull up a projection for Jarrett Allen, see if they are liking the over here. And NumberFire does have him projected for 11.4 boards, which puts him over 10.5, meaning we should be thinking about possibly going over on him. He has hit in 3 straight games, 15, 11, and 11 respectively. So there you have it. Maybe Jared Allen over 10.5 boards could be a strong look for you tonight. Let's see what other ones are standing out. We got Luka Doncic at 7.5 boards, 70% hit rate, minus 114 to go over. We've got Isaac Okoro at 3.5 boards, 70% hit rate, minus 118 to go over as well. Let's go look at some of the low hit rate guys who are not covering their rebound props with a high hit rate. We've got DFS, Dorian Finney-Smith of the Dallas Mavericks at 4.5 boards. Just a 20% hit rate in his last 10 games. So you could kind of see how the last 10 and last 5 measure up. His last 5, he's only covered this prop one time. A 20% hit rate in his last 5 and a 20% hit rate in his last 10. Now currently, he is a minus 122 go under 4.5 rebounds. So let's take a look at Dorian Finney-Smith here, because this could be another potential underplay, and it's okay to play the unders once in a while, guys. We should probably be playing them more than we have been, but looking at his last 10, he has only gone over 4.5 rebounds twice. That was against San Antonio and against Phoenix, pulled in 7 boards, and I want to say that Luka Doncic might have been out for one or maybe even both of those games, so more rebounds funneled to Dorian Finney-Smith, at least more rebound opportunities anyway. 4.7 rebounds per game over the course of the season, just 3.9 and 3.8 in his last 10 and last 5 averages. So those averages are definitely below where he's at 4.5. Let's go down here and look at this matchup. Cleveland, a very tough team in terms of keeping the opposing team off of the glass. We've got 12th ranked in terms of rebounds allowed, so a very tough team in total rebounds. And in defensive rebounds, guys, they rank 7th. They're a top 10 team, keeping the other team off the boards, giving up just under 34 rebounds per game. DFS gets plenty of run for Dallas, over 33 minutes per game. Here's how his rebounds shake out. Not very high totals here. So let's go get you a projection on Dorian Finney-Smith. If you like to play unders, this looks like it could be a good one for you. They got it projected at 5.1 rebounds. Obviously, that's slightly more than 4.5, but I would say don't put too much faith or too much weight into these projections. And you can also cross-reference these projections on some other sites. You can look at Numberfire, which is the one we have pulled up here, but you can also check out a site like RotoWire. They offer free single stat player prop projections, and Betting Pros is another way to go. So if you're looking for some free resources, those 3 sites can definitely help you out and give you an idea of how one site compares to the next. So for me, though, I got to keep riding the under on Dorian Finney-Smith. Just a very low hit rate, a very tough matchup against this Cleveland Cavaliers squad. So unless somebody gets ruled out for Dallas, I think the under on DFS would be the way that I would go. Looking at some other low hit rate guys in terms of rebounds, Karis LeVert, 3.5 boards, just a 30% hit rate. He is also a minus 114, betting favorite to go under 3.5 rebounds. Gordon Hayward, 5.5 boards, minus 124 to go under at 5.5. He's representing a 30% hit rate. We got Lonzo Ball at 5.5, just a 30% hit rate. He's a big old minus 142 to go under. And last but not least, the 5th one on the low hit rate rebound list, Nikola Vucevic at 12.5 boards, just a 30% hit rate, minus 132 to go under. So there you go. There's some rebound props to consider. Good morning to all 108 of you. If you haven't liked today's live stream yet, please go ahead and do so now. We're trying to get 100 or more likes on every one of these streams every single day that I get on here and do this for you. I appreciate you doing that. Doesn't take a lot of effort, doesn't take a lot of work for you to just smash that like button. Thanks for having my back. You guys have been absolutely killing. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of the high assist rate guys and the low assist rate guys. Starting things off with Bradley Beal. He has been a favorite for us to take the over on, sitting around 4.5 or 5.5 assists. Today, he is at 5.5 assists, and he's got an 80% hit rate, minus 128 to go over at 5.5 assists. We do have him up on the PrizePicks board at 5.5. So with an 80% hit rate in his last 10 and an 80% hit rate in his last 5, I think Bradley Beal is a name we got to talk about a little bit more. So let's do it. Let's pull him up here on props.cash. Again, Cyber Monday deal. We will get you 25% off your first month of props.cash. It's just $19.99 a month. All you have to do, join my Discord. Down in the description of this video, there will be a link. Once you have joined the Discord, find me in there. My name's CJ Curry. Send me a DM, and I will send you a voucher to get 25% off of your first month on props.cash. Save you a few bucks if you've been sitting on the fence trying to decide whether or not you should sign up for props.cash or not. I'll hook you up. We'll call it a Cyber Monday deal. How's that sound? All right, Brad Beal, 5.5 assists, last 10 games, 80%. We've already told you that. His averages, let's look at those. 5.9 assists per game in the full season averages, 6.6 assists per game in his last 10, and 6.4 assists in his last 5. Those are important numbers because if we do take the over here, we need him to get at least 6 or more assists in order for this pick to pay off. Let's look at his last 5. Against the New Orleans Pelicans is where he struggled. Just 1 assist against New Orleans. We'll call that an outlier, kind of, one of those weird fluky situations. Because if you look at the rest of his games here, 7, 8, 7, 7, 5, 9, 9, 6, 7. That one, I don't know what happened that game, but just didn't get it done. Looking at this matchup, though, San Antonio, 14th most assists allowed to opposing teams. Over 23 dimes are dropped per game against this San Antonio Spurs defense. If we go down here, look at his minutes, he's getting about 36 minutes per game in his last 5. So things are looking pretty good here for Bradley Beal. All of his averages are above 5.5. He is a betting favorite to once again exceed 5.5 assists at minus 134. So let's go ahead and take a look at the projections here. Again, numberfire.com. Free to use. 5.2 assists. Puts him really close. Puts him in the same ballpark, the same neighborhood of this 5.5 assists. Really, this could probably go either way, but I'd have to lean toward the over in this case. Bradley Beal's just been getting it done for us way too much for me to take the under here. So probably going back to it again, guys. Probably going back to the over with Bradley Beal. Let's look at some other ones here. Brandon Ingram at 3.5 assists. He's been one that has been hitting. Not seeing him up on the PrizePicks board just yet, but both Brandon Ingram and his teammate Josh Hart, if Josh Hart's sitting at 2.5 assists, I really like the over on both of those. I've been writing those guys up pretty regularly here over on Patreon. You can check out the Patreon link down in the description below if you're interested in joining. But yes, both Brandon Ingram and Josh Hart over 3.5 and 2.5 assists respectively. Very high hit rates on both of those props. Those are ones to be on the lookout for. We got CJ McCollum at 3.5 assists, 70% hit rate there. Minus 122 to go over 3.5 assists. We do actually have him up. Now in recent days on PrizePicks, CJ McCollum has been priced up at around 4 assists. 4 assists he's pushed, I think, in a couple of the games, but at 3.5, we've got a real shot here of him maybe going over. So let's take a look at his last 5 games. He's gone over in 1, 2, 3, 4. 80% hit rate at 3.5 assists. And then we talked about his 70% hit rate in his last 10 games, and he's a betting favorite to go over 3.5 at minus 122. So let's take a look at McCollum real quick, because this could be another option for you to go over on. The graphs here for his last 10 games looking very green. That's that 70% hit rate we talked about, averaging over 4.4 assists per game over the course of the season, 4.6 in his last 10, 4.6 in his last 5. So all of his averages are well above 3.5 by almost 1 whole assist. Looking at this matchup, though, it is the Utah Jazz, so they are a tough team, a tough defense. We've talked about them at length here in the past. They rank 3rd, giving up the 3rd fewest assists per game, 21.4 assists allowed. Not a huge number. What I've been seeing here, though, with CJ McCollum and Damian Lillard, it seems like certain nights Damian Lillard will take on more of that assist-heavy role for the Portland Trail Blazers, and his scoring will take a step back. And then usually when that happens, CJ McCollum's scoring goes up and his assists fall back. But I think if we look at the numbers here, CJ McCollum more often than not is getting the job done. Now this game does have a pretty high total, 223 implied points, but the Utah Jazz are 7-point favorites at home here. So maybe a little bit of blowout risk, blowout potential, but nonetheless, 3.5 assists just seems very friendly here on CJ McCollum. He's getting about 37 minutes per game in his last 5 games, so, getting plenty of court time as well. You got to be out on the court in order for you to rack up some props for us. So, Getting a projection for you on CJ McCollum's assist. He's right up there around 5 assists tonight. It's hard for me to say no. He's projected for 4.8 assists, putting him 1.3 projected assists higher than his number at 3.5. I think if this number was at 4 on PrizePicks, it'd be a little bit more difficult of a decision, but at 3.5, I'm going to have to probably take the over on CJ McCollum. I like it. I like it. What say you, chat? You guys like this CJ McCollum prop at just 3.5 assists? I think it's looking pretty darn good here. Another guy that we've talked about in the past, I won't go in too far with Mike Conley because his assists have kind of cooled off. Michael Conley Jr. at 5.5 assists. Just hasn't been getting it done here in the last 5 games, but there was a point in time a few games back where at 5.5 assists, we just kept smashing the over. Things have definitely cooled off here, though, for Mike Conley Jr., so I would say probably want to get off of that prop, and let's see how things shake out. Other ones to consider: Domantas Sabonis, 3.5 assists, 60% hit rate, minus 148 to go over. Terry Rozier, 3.5 assists, 60% hit rate, minus 132 to go over. Going down here, let's go take a look at some of the guys who are not assisting at a very high hit rate. Jae'Sean Tate of the Houston Rockets. If you could get him at 2.5 assists, you should probably think about going under. He does take on OKC tonight. Looking at his last 5 games, covered this prop in just 1 game. So that's a 20% hit rate. Love that low hit rate for him. And then if you look at the last 10 games, also sitting at a 20% hit rate. He's currently a minus 118 to go under. Let's take a look at Jae'Sean Tate a little bit closer. This could be another way to go, guys. You take him and Darius Bazley under. Darius Bazley under on 10.5 or 11.5 points. I think you've got a couple of really good, strong underplays. But Jae'Sean Tate here at 2.5 assists, as we mentioned, last 10 games, 20% hit rate, averaging 1.9 assists over the course of the season, 1.6 in his last 10. His assists have popped up to 2.6 in his last 5 games. But could this be a trap? And the reason I ask that is because in 2 previous matchups from this season against this Oklahoma City Thunder team, he did have 5 assists back on October 22nd, which was a long time ago now, over a month ago. And in this more recent matchup against OKC, he had 2 assists against them there. So 1 game he went over with 5, 1 game he stayed under with 2. So it kind of gives you an idea of what to maybe expect here from Jae'Sean Tate. Moving it down here, OKC ranks 16th, so kind of an average matchup, middle of the road matchup here in terms of the assist category. They give up about 24 assists per game to the opposing team. No Jalen Green tonight for Houston. Maybe that ends up boosting Jae'Sean Tate's assist numbers a little bit more. Or maybe Kevin Porter Jr. just ball hogs and he gets all the assists tonight. Definitely worth mentioning that Jalen Green injury. So let's go get you a projection here on Jae'Sean Tate, get an idea of what Number Fire thinks. TATE, they got him at 2.7 assists, putting him slightly over 2.5, obviously closer to 3 than 2. So could be a little bit risky, we'll say, with Jalen Green being out. I don't know that I necessarily want to go there, but historically, I would say if the Houston Rockets were fully healthy, I'd probably take the under again on Jae'Sean Tate, but with Jalen Green out, I don't know. It's probably a fade for me. Donovan Mitchell, 5.5 assists, just a 30% hit rate, currently a minus 122 to go under. Malcolm Brogdon, another guy not getting it done, 5.5 assists, 40% hit rate, minus 134 to go under. And Miles Bridges, Charlotte Hornets, 3.5 assists, just a 40% hit rate, minus 168. Huge. Minus 168 to go under. All right, so let's take a look at some of these 3-point makes. I appreciate all of you guys who are watching. Smash that like button if you haven't yet. Shot by Tree says he's coming off of 2 bad games. He'd like a bounce back game for him, to be honest. Okay, I like that. I like that bounce back narrative there. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of these 3-point makes. What do we have up on the PrizePicks board? Not a ton. 4, 8, 12, 14 different ways to go here. I gotta click this one because CJ McCollum at 2.5 threes. It's kind of like Fred VanVleet yesterday. Anytime they're going to put like CJ McCollum or Fred VanVleet at 2.5 3-point makes, I'm just going to take my chances here and have to click the over on these guys. They usually just get too much volume to ignore. Another guy maybe worth considering, Darius Garland. We talked about how many shots he gets per game. Maybe you don't want to take his points at 17.5. Maybe you'd rather take the over on his 3-point makes. You might end up in a tie or a push situation if you play on PrizePicks, but look at his last 5 games, 3, 4, 2. He blanks out here against Phoenix, but then 3 against Orlando. So that could be a guy that you consider taking the over on. LaMelo Ball's been kind of hit or miss here, but more often he's getting 2 or more 3-point makes, at least in this 5-game sample size. 3, 3, 4, 0 against Minnesota, 2 against Houston. So I don't mind that one against the Chicago Bulls. Playing against his brother tonight. Maybe he looks to have a big game against Big Bro. I don't know. Another one that's been working out, Spencer Dinwiddie at 1.5 threes, and in the last 5 games, he's went over in 60% of those games. I don't mind him. He is a game time decision though, so you got to be careful with that one. Kristaps Porzingis, if I remember right, has been doing a pretty decent job of going over 1.5 threes. You got 2 against Phoenix, 3 against Phoenix, 2 against the Clippers, but then he gives you a couple of blanks in there with Luka Doncic back in the lineup. Maybe we cool off on that Kristaps Porzingis 3-point prop. But those are just a few to maybe keep an eye out on over on the PrizePicks board. Let's look at these last 10 game high hit rate guys. If we get Malcolm Brogdon at 1.5 threes, he's been covering this number 80% of the time. He is a minus 200 to go over 1.5 threes. Dorian Finney-Smith at 1.5 3-point makes, 80% hit rate, but he is currently a minus 115 to go under. So I haven't really considered Dorian Finney-Smith, but let's look at it real quick. Last 5 games, he has gone over 1.5 in 80% of his games. So 80% hit rate in his last 10, 80% hit rate in his last 5. He's going to be one of those guys where he's not going to get a high volume, so he has to be super efficient. He has to make the ones that he takes. Otherwise, you're going to be in for some pain. There's Kristaps Porzingis. We talked about him. 1.5 threes in his last 10 games, has gone over in 70% of those games, currently a minus 120. We got Garland at 2.5 threes out on your favorite sports book. He's a 70% hit rate in his last 10, but a minus 148 to go under, which is why PrizePicks has bumped him down from 2.5 down to 2. I got to take him at 2. I just think we maybe create 2 different entries with Garland. Maybe we take the over on his points in one, and then we take the over on his 3-point makes in the other. But yeah, I think I got to take Darius Garland today. It's just looking too good here. Reggie Jackson didn't get it done for me. What was that? Yesterday when he got into a bunch of foul trouble. 2.5 3-point makes, 70% hit rate, minus 158 to go over 2.5. So when a prop fails, I like to go right back to it in the next game. And more often than not, I think they typically end up hitting in that next game. And if it doesn't hit after 2 games in a row, then I'm definitely going back to it for the 3rd game because the way that averages and stuff work, these guys usually snap back to where those season averages or 10-game averages are. So don't ever give up on a prop just because it doesn't hit that one game for you. Don't say, oh, I'm going to fade it next game. No, go right back to it. Sometimes I think that could be a very sound strategy. Looking at the low hit rate, guys, Donovan Mitchell, 3.5 3-point makes, just a 10% hit rate, minus 172 to go under. Not seeing any Donovan Mitchell up on the PrizePicks board. Eric Gordon, EG at 2.5 3-point makes, just a 20% hit rate. Minus 154 to go under. We're not going to get Eric Gordon up on the board today either. Karis LeVert, 1.5. Not a very good outside shooter, just a 30% hit rate, but he is a betting favorite at minus 122 to go over. Basley, we talked about liking the under on his points. We could also go under on his 3-point makes at 1.5. If you get him at 1.5 somewhere, minus 215 to go under. So there's some low hit rate 3-point takers and makers for you. Let's go to chat. Let's see what you guys are talking about. 103 of you up in here. Thank you so much for joining me this morning. Hope everybody out there had a wonderful Thanksgiving. You were able to maybe do some shopping, get some Black Friday deals. I hope it went well for all of you. Maybe you made some money playing some NFL on Thanksgiving, playing some NFL yesterday on the Sunday slate. But yeah, let's go through the chat here. Let's see what you guys are liking, what you're not liking. We've got Duran talking about Lou Dort over 1.5 assists and Lonzo Ball over 11.5 points. Do we have Lou Dort up? We do. He's at 1.5 dimes in his last 5 games, covered this prop in 60% of those games. Let's go find Lou Dort here over on props.cash and take a look at this prop because you're really liking it. Maybe he's got a better hit rate in his last 10. Let's go find out. Lou Dort, he is at 2.5 out on your favorite sports book. So that is 1 assist higher than where they've got him on PrizePicks. Just another reason why you should think about signing up on PrizePicks. Now, if we bump him down to 1.5, which is where he's at on PrizePicks, 60% hit rate. I can't say I'm in love with this. I mean, 60% hit rate's okay. It's not bad. You know, it's above 50%, which is all we could really ask for. His averages look pretty good, though. 1.9 over the course of the season, 1.8 in his last 10, and 2 assists per game in his last 5. We could look at those previous matchups against Houston. He had 4 assists against Houston in their first meeting. We got to bump this back down to 1.5. And then he had 2 assists against Houston in the second meeting. So he has covered this prop in 2 previous meetings against the Houston Rockets. 1.5 assists might just be doable here for Lou Dort. If you're getting him at 2.5 assists, I do not love it as much. I do not love him at 2.5 assists. 1.5, though, definitely could be a way to go in terms of taking the over. Let's go ahead and get you a projection here on Lou Dort. I put in Tort, T-O-R-T. We're looking for Dort. He's projected for exactly 2 assists. So, yeah, at 1.5, I'd say consider smashing the over. I don't mind that one at all. And the other one you liked was Lonzo Ball, Chicago Bulls point guard, at 11.5 points. My problem with the Chicago Bulls is look at all the mouths they have here on this team. Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, Nikola Vucevic, and then you got Lonzo Ball in here as well. Now, same thing could apply to him. Maybe he looks to have a big game going against Lil Bro, LaMelo Ball. 11.5 points, though. He's only gone over this number in 2 of his last 5 games. That's just a 40% hit rate. So I won't go too deep on this one. But let's pull up a projection here for Lonzo. He is at 14.7 projected points against this Charlotte Hornets squad. So it's hard to ignore a difference of 3.2 projected points. But I don't know that it's my favorite prop. Could you go there? Yeah, I think you could. I wouldn't want to have 100% exposure to Lonzo Ball. In other words, I wouldn't want to have him in all of my entries or in all of my tickets. But I would take a shot and maybe 1 or 2 at that projection being at 13.7. So let's see what else you guys are talking about here. George says he cashed a ticket live Celtics at Spurs this weekend. Congratulations to you, George. What else are we talking about? Oh, yeah, Chris Pringle said he won $100 million yesterday. Why are you here? You don't need to be here if you won $100 million. Color Hype says he hit a parlay in Vegas Friday. The Wizards OKC nearly gave me a heart attack. Well, I'm glad you survived that near fatal heart attack and you're here with us this morning. Shout out to you, Color Hype. What else? What other picks are we liking here? Looking for picks. Remy says, what do you think about hitting the overs on OKC versus Houston? Giddey over 12.5 points. Looks tasty. We talked about really liking Giddey over rebounds. We talked about liking Darius Bazley under his points at 10.5 or 11.5. We talked about liking Lou Dort over 1.5 assists. Giddey, though, has been balling. So if you want to take Giddey over points, that could also be a move. He's at 12.5 points, has gone over in 80% of his games. Pretty high hit rate. Let's get you a projection on Giddey. He's at 12.6 projected points, putting him slightly over 12.5. So for me, I would probably say I got to keep riding those rebounds on Josh Giddey. I like the rebounds for Giddey maybe more than I like the points. The 100% hit rate in his last 5 games. And I think he's got the 80% hit rate going in his last 10 games. And he's projected for 7.2 boards, putting him slightly over the 6.5 number. So I like Giddey more, I think, for a rebound over than I do a point over. But like I said, you can hedge sometimes. Make 2 entries. If you like Giddey's points enough, take one where you take the over on his points. Make a second entry, put Giddey back in there, take the over at 6.5 rebounds. Nothing wrong with hedging your picks a little bit. Hey, check that out. We got some 76ers and Magic players up on the PrizePicks board now. Seems like PrizePicks is finally waking up. Shot by Tree says, wish I had a 5 pick to put $200 on. Lord knows I need it almost the first of the month. Well, I hear you on that. Maybe instead of putting like 200 on a single 5 pick, maybe you break that 200 up and roll like 50 on 4 different 5 picks just to kind of hedge things out a little bit. That way you don't have all your eggs in one 5-pick basket, so to speak. Just an idea shot by Tree. Different way to play it. G-Lo says CJ is the GOAT. Well, if I'm the GOAT, I don't know what you are, man. You got to be the super GOAT. What else are we talking about? Dave Gutierrez says Dame Dollar under 3 3-point makes versus Utah looks good too. All right, we know Utah's a tough team, tough defense. Let's look at his threes in the last 5 games. He's actually heated up in terms of scoring in his last 5. 3, 5, 5, 3, and 2. So I can't get you any projections on Number Fire, but if you go over to Betting Pros, they do have projections for 3-point makes on there. Definitely pull up Damian Lillard at 3 3-point makes, but yeah, I don't know that I would want to go under necessarily on Damian Lillard with how hot he's been lately. I think if you go under, maybe you end up in a push situation with exactly 3 3-point makes. But the way that he's been shooting the ball, there's a very good chance he goes over 3 3-point makes. So that would absolutely crush your bet. Domantas Sabonis, Hawks fan 178, wants me to look at Sabonis over 14.5 points. He's calling Sabonis at 14.5 points against the Minnesota Timberwolves a lock. Well, if we look at the last 5 games here, 20, 21, 14, 23, and 4. He fell short against Milwaukee yesterday. I don't like Rick Carlisle, for the record. Doc Rivers was already on my coaching list, my poop list, we'll call it. I'm adding Rick Carlisle to that because once the game gets to like the 4th quarter and his team's down by double digits, this dude is notorious for pulling his starters. Now, I get it. They're on the front half of a back-to-back. They're facing Minnesota today, so they wanted to not put any extra minutes or miles on Domantas Sabonis, have him fresh, have him ready to go for the T-Wolves tonight. But still, I needed Sabonis to pull in one more rebound. He was at 10.5 boards, ended up with 10 rebounds. Just so frustrating when you're like, okay, he's got the whole rest of the 4th quarter here to pull in that one more rebound that we need, and just doesn't get back in the game. So that sucks. But anyway, Sabonis projected for 18.4 points tonight, putting him almost 4 points over this 14.5 number. I've seen him anywhere from 16.5 down to 15.5. So to get him at 14.5, this really does represent quite a bit of value here for Sabonis. It would definitely be hard for me to say no to him at 14.5. Says he thinks Kristaps Porzingis playing against a non-physical team, he's good, but I think Evan Mobley and Jarrett Allen might be an issue for Kristaps Porzingis. I agree. It could be a tough matchup. GD says, I went Sabonis yesterday, lost my money. I did too. That's what I was just saying. I took his over on 10.5 boards. Ended up with 10 boards. We lost to the hook. Dave Gutierrez says, KP's numbers are inflated because Luka has been off the floor. I agree with that. Remy says, FYI, you can click on the players in the prop trends page and it will take you to that player's profile. Yeah, I been doing that more, but I like to have 2 windows open, at least for YouTube presentation purposes. I like having my trends up on one tab, and then I like being able to do the actual digging and research on another tab. But yeah, that is a cool feature that they added, Remy. Appreciate that. Band your boy says, Sabonis lost me money, couldn't hit 3 free throws. Yeah, and then he gets benched in the 4th, so we're all mad at Sabonis. He's going to come back for us tonight, though. Don't be afraid to go back to Sabonis. Pavel wants to know DeJounte Murray over fantasy points. Let's take a look at Murray. He has been an absolute killer, and I mean that in a good way. In terms of going over his fantasy points props lately, Murray has just been on a very hot streak. 43 is his fantasy point projection over on PrizePicks. But if you look at his last 5 games, 58.9. Now he misses here against Minnesota with just 25, but comes back strong. 57, 51, 60. This dude, I think, is arguably in the running for most improved player. Is that out of pocket for me to say that about DeJounte Murray? Let's pull up his projected fantasy points. Just 40? 40 against Washington? That seems way too low. I would cross-reference this. Check out RotoWire. They offer free fantasy projections. Make sure you're using FanDuel projections when you go and cross-reference from site to site. So you got Number Fire, RotoWire, Daily Fantasy Fuel is another one that offers free FanDuel projections. You could check them out as well. So a few different resources out there for you to compare this 43 fantasy point number for DeJounte Murray, but I think 43 is too low, and I especially think 40 projected fantasy points on Number Fire is awfully low as well. So I like it, Pavel. Murray has been balling. Andy says, "Yo, same. I'm never putting my money on Sabonis again. Don't be jaded. Don't let one bad game from Domantas Sabonis ruin you. I think we go back to him at 14.5 points. I think I like that. You guys have definitely put me on that Domantas Sabonis prop." We got a super chat. Sports Betting Education dropping the super chat. "Love your show. What software do you use to do these streams?" Well, there is a number of different programs. This has nothing to do with player props. So if you're not into the production or technical side of being a content creator, you can go ahead and ignore what I'm about to say here for the next few minutes. But yeah, for software, I use a number of different programs. I'm actually in the midst of evaluating some other software to make these live streams even better for everybody who tunes into them. But at the moment, the way that I'm set up right now, I use Streamlabs OBS. That is what captures all your different sources, your screens, your audio, your everything. So I use that, and then I use some Canon software. I use a Canon DSLR camera, which is pointed at me, and I think that's about it. It's pretty simple, pretty straightforward, just Streamlabs OBS. But like I said, I'm evaluating other options. I think I'm looking to get out of Streamlabs OBS. There's been some stuff that came out about them that isn't so nice. But you could always DM me, SBE, Sports Betting Education. If you want to join the Discord, DM me. We could go back and forth and talk a little bit more about what software I use. But I really, really appreciate you leaving that super chat. It goes a long way in helping to support what I do here every morning for you guys. So hopefully that answers your question, but I would love to elaborate and chat even more. Definitely send me a DM. All right, what else are we talking about here? Let's go check some of these other player props that you guys are liking. Yeah, we like Murray over fantasy points. Scrolling down here, we got a lot of spam up in the chat this morning. Basley for the under, GDGF. Yeah, we like Basley under 11.5 or 10.5 points. I think that's a good look. Remy says, "I'm loving Darius Garland as well. If Reggie Jackson can put 30 up on Dallas, so can Garland." Totally agree. Totally agree with that. Yeah, please report these spammers. I don't know if I can do it while I'm live with you guys, the way that I'm set up. So yeah, if you guys can report the spammers, get them spam bots out of here. Yeah, Reggie says Darius Garland has been money. Absolutely. Got to go back to Darius Garland. Looking like a great play, especially over on PrizePicks today at just 17.5 points. I think that number is very soft, very friendly for us. So we got to smash the over on Darius Garland. Where the heck did he go? They added more props to the board here. There he is, 17.5. Yeah, we got to go back to Darius Garland at 17.5. Even at 18.5, I don't mind it. I think he's just getting way too many shots up. You can also go Darius Garland over 2 3-point makes. Band Ya Boy says Jarrett Allen over on rebounds and points is a lock. Yeah, we talked about Jarrett Allen's rebounds. That could be a definite good look. Says Lou Dort over points and rebounds / Darius Basley under points has been money. So yeah, we talked about Lou Dort over his 1.5 assists. He's covered twice against the Houston Rockets. Basley, 8 straight games, I think it's been, since he's went over 10.5 or 11.5 points. So I like the under on Basley's points as well. Shot by Tree says Garland and Sabonis over in points. Looks like locks today. Well, we know there aren't locks, but they do look like very strong plays, plus EV plays. So I don't mind you going to either one of those. Marcella says Karl Anthony Towns points. He's been a monster against the Pacers. We haven't talked about the big cat, Mr. Karl Anthony Towns, at 21.5 points. Let's look at his last 5 games. 60% hit rate's gone over this number in 3 out of his last 5. Let's pull up a projection here for Towns. Try to get through as many of your questions and submissions as possible. They got him projected at 22.4 points. So if you want to take the over against Indiana, I don't hate that. I think he could give Miles Turner and company some problems. What else are we talking about here this morning, chat? GD says he took the Dort over assists and he wants to go under on Darius Bazley, but he doesn't know. Well, I think the Bazley under points, man, you just got to keep going back to it. He just hasn't proven himself, right? Eric says Rozier over threes is another one I seen. Okay, we haven't talked about Terry Rozier at 2 3-point makes. He's gone 4 straight games over 2 3-point makes. 8 against Washington. Wow. 3 against Orlando, 3 against Minnesota, and 6 against Houston. So definitely double check the projections over on Betting Pros for Terry Rozier's 3-point prop, but I ain't mad at this. I think you could take the over on Terry Rozier against Chicago. Maybe the other guys kind of get clamped. LaMelo Ball and who else I got? Bridges and Hayward. And maybe Terry Rozier shines a little bit. Who's he going to be guarded by? Zach LaVine, most likely? Yeah, I don't mind it. Take a shot on Terry Rozier. Like I said, probably wouldn't go too heavy on any single prop, but I think that could be a good look for you. Terry Rozier over 2 3-point makes. And your boy says, yeah, I would pick Karl-Anthony Towns over on points before I pick Sabonis. Woo, hot take. Maybe you take both. Maybe you do a little same game parlay. You take Sabonis over and you take Karl-Anthony Towns over. I don't mind that. Reggie says, I've hit on Bazley under points every chance I get. So you're liking it. You're going to go back to Bazley more than likely, right? Giddy over rebounds looks great. Agree with you, Andy. I think Giddy over rebounds is my safer way to take Josh Giddey tonight if you're playing any of his player props. I don't know if I love his points as much. Not saying that the points can't hit. Again, you could always hedge, make 2 separate lineups if you want. Put Giddey over points in one, Giddey over rebounds in the other. And you could hedge it out so you don't have 100% exposure to a single player prop. What else are we talking about here? Lackey says, Wendell Carter over fantasy points. Yes, Wendell Carter Jr. has been smashing lately. As a Magic fan, you love to see it. Is he up on the PrizePicks board? Yep, he's up here at 30. Especially if Mo Bamba's out, man. You got to go back to Wendell Carter Jr. 30 fantasy points, probably not enough. 36, 47, and 39 in his last 3 games. So again, keep an eye on the injury news. If Mo Bamba is out, let's take some Wendell Carter Jr. over fantasy points. This dude is currently projected for 39 fantasy points against Philadelphia tonight. He's sitting at 30 fantasy points right now. 30 fantasy points right now over on PrizePicks. You're telling me I'm going to get a difference of nearly 9 fantasy points and I'm not going to take that? You crazy. You're crazy. We got to take the over on Wendell Carter Jr., especially though if Mo Bamba's out. So what else are we talking about here? We've got Dale saying, how do you feel about Miles Turner over 11.5? Is that 11.5 points against Minnesota? I mean, he can get it done. He's shown that he can get it done. Is he the primary option for Indiana? Absolutely not. He's probably like the 4th, maybe even the 5th option in the starting lineup for Indiana. You got Sabonis, you got Malcolm Brogdon, you've got Karis LeVert in there. I don't know. I don't love taking guys who aren't like, the primary options on their team. But just to entertain your question, let's go ahead and put in a projection here for Miles Turner. 13.6 points. So yeah, he could definitely get it done. I don't know that I love it. I don't know that I'll go there personally, but what website is that? Dale, the player prop site here is PrizePicks. The site that I'm looking at to pull up these projections is NumberFire, which is completely free. And this site is props.cash. Hopefully that answers your question. What else are we talking about? We've got Kristaps Porzingis over fantasy points. Yeah, maybe you go there. Kristaps been playing a lot better basketball in his last few games. Porzingis sits at 36 fantasy points, has gone over in 5 straight games, guys. 100% hit rate for KP6. He's projected for 37.6 fantasy points. These are using FanDuel projections, which is what you need to use if you're comparing any type of projection site to PrizePicks. But yeah, 37.6 puts him over 36. They like him to go over again against Cleveland. So I don't mind that whatsoever. High hit rate. Good morning to you, Adonis. Good to see you this morning. Mind of Reese says, almost won $1,000 last night, but the Bucks pulled Bobby Portis too early. Still got 200 from the flex play, though. Nice. Good for you. Says, yeah, Giddey's holding it down. Chaz says he likes Giddey over on rebounds. He likes SGA also, too. Spam. Elijah says, let's go under. Yeah, we could definitely go under on some Basley. Maybe we go under on, who was it? Jayshawn Tate under 2.5 assists. Could be a little more risky, though, with no Jalen Green. Dave Gutierrez says, Jared Allen may go over in the first half. I ain't mad at that. J-Red, what? Mike Conley, 5.5 assists? I don't know. I don't like Mike Conley over 5.5 assists. It hasn't been hitting like it used to. Kellen, Evan Mobley rebounds looks good today too. Yeah, you could take either one of the Cleveland Cavaliers big guys. I think bigs against the Mavericks have been working out more often than not, so I don't mind Jared Allen or Evan Mobley. But in terms of rebounds, I probably favor Jared Allen more than Evan Mobley. I think that's a good look. DB says, what's up, CJ? I'm late getting in this morning. I'm at work. Give me your 2 favorite picks. Man. Here we go again with these 2 favorite picks, 3 favorite picks, 5 favorite picks things. There is a lot of picks to like tonight. What have we talked about, chat? We talked about Sabonis over points at 14.5. We talked about Garland over points at 17.5. Garland over 2 3-point makes looks like a good way to go. Jared Allen over 10.5 rebounds potentially could be a good way to go. You could take Darius Basley under 10.5 or 11.5 points depending on where you play. That could be a good look. Some of you like Karl Anthony Towns over 21.5 versus Indiana. Some of you liked Lou Dort over 1.5 assists. I ain't mad at that. Some of you like Josh Giddey over points. Some of you like Josh Giddey over rebounds. I think I prefer the over on his rebounds personally. What else? I mean, we talked about a lot of picks. We liked DeJounte Murray over fantasy points. If you're playing on PrizePicks, you can take the over on his fantasy points. Kristaps Porzingis over 1.5 threes could be a move. Dorian Finney-Smith over 1.5 threes could be a move. You kind of get the point. There's a lot of different options. For me to say, what is your 2 favorite? I don't know. There's a lot. There's a lot to like. CJ McCollum over 3.5 assists. Not a bad look. So Anthony Taylor, longtime supporter, Patreon member, big wins today. He's claiming it. I claim it with you, my brother. Amen to that. Let's get those big wins today. Big wins. Elijah says, LaMelo Ball assists. Yeah, LaMelo Ball's been another guy similar to DeJounte Murray, who has just been doing everything for his team and has been doing it well. So 8 assists in his last 5 games, has gone over in 60% of those games. He's projected for what? Let's pull it up here. LaMelo's sitting at exactly 8 assists. So if he was at 7.5, I'd say take the over at 8. You might end up in a tie or push situation. Yep, Beal over 5.5 assists. That was another one we talked about with a high hit rate. Scrolling through. See what else are we talking about here. Michael Johnson in the building. What's up? Good to see you, Mike. G-Lo says Sabonis, not Sabonis, but Sabonis. Shots fired at Domantas Sabonis. Craig's mentioning SGA 4.5 assists. Did we talk about those? We did not. We talked about Lou Dort being an overplay at 1.5 assists. Covered in 2 previous games against Houston. Has done a pretty good job this season of going over 1.5. SGA at 4.5 has gone over in 60% of his last 5 games. Let's pull up a projection. They got him at 5.1 projected assists. I have to look into this one a little bit further, but I think Lou Dort at 1.5 is a little bit more achievable. So maybe I'd go there. Michael. Let's go back here. Luka, going back to Carter here. Carter says Luka over on assists. Luka Doncic against the Cavs tonight at 8.5 assists, 10, 9, 11, 15, and 10. I ain't mad at that. Look at that. 5 straight, 100% hit rate. He has gone over in 5 straight games, smashing his assist prop. Let's see where they got Luka projected tonight. 9.2 assists. Yeah, I think we could go back to the over on Luka Doncic with this high hit rate. 8.5 might be a little too low. That might that should be up at 9.5 assists. So I like that. Not a bad look. Luke over fantasy, absolutely. Luke over fantasy is always in play, especially against the Cavs. Cavs are a tough team, though. Don't sleep on them or underestimate them. Donovan Mitchell assists looks fire. You think so? Donovan Mitchell was on our low hit rate for his assists at 5.5. Now, if you get him at 5, then yeah, maybe you lean toward the over and you end up in a tie or push situation. Let's take a look at Donovan Mitchell here. 5.9 projected assists, puts him right around 6 assists. All right, maybe lean toward the over here. Seems like he's absorbing all the assists that Michael Conley Jr. was getting a few games back, so all right, you could take that. S says he is liking Tyrese Maxey over 5 assists playing with Embiid. That's right, Embiid's supposed to be back tonight. Tobias Harris is supposed to be back tonight. So cool your jets on taking the over on Tyrese Maxey's points. This might be a good spot to go ahead and target the under on Maxey if you think that the usage will be all soaked up by both Embiid and Harris returning to the lineup. But yeah, you could definitely do that. I want to say that Seth Curry's assist had been hitting at a pretty high clip at 2.5. Yeah, they kind of cooled off a little bit. Maybe you don't go there with Seth Curry. What else are we talking about here? We got a few more minutes and then I'm going to jump off of here. We're already an hour and 15 minutes into this stream. So many questions, so little time. Rozier from 3 may be the vibe according to Said. Eric likes Gobert over rebounds. Beal's assist over. Yep, 5.5 would like that one. Sabonis points over at 14.5 and Garland's points over 17.5 and maybe even Karl Anthony Towns over on free throws. All right. Or you could go Dort assists at 1.5. CJ McCollum over 3.5 assists. Yeah. Do we know if SGA is playing? I think he's probably playing. He was a last minute addition, or he was ruled in, I think, in the last game. Wasn't expecting SGA to play, but he ended up making it in. And I don't think it hindered Giddey at all, really. I think Giddey ended up hitting his rebounds once again, even with SGA in the lineup. So maybe he doesn't get up to the 8 and 12 numbers, but 7 is all we need out of him. And he's hit 7 in 3 straight games, has Josh Giddey. So Sam Johnson says, what is your best piece of advice? Just do 2 pick powers or 4 pick flex? Well, I would definitely say don't have 100% exposure to any one player prop. In other words, don't have Josh Giddey at 6.5 rebounds in all your entries. Yes, if it hits, it could work out amazing for you, and now you've hit in all of them. But I like to hedge my bets. I like to kind of, mix it up a little bit, not have 100% exposure to any one single prop. Obviously, don't bet more than you're willing to lose. Got to keep in mind, this is a marathon, not a sprint. In other words, we don't have to win all the money tonight. There's going to be more money for us tomorrow, more money for the day after that, and so on and so forth. This is a long NBA season. Bet in a way that it is sustainable for your bankroll. You don't have to go all in. You could play as little as $5 on PrizePicks. You could play as much as, I don't know, some people play thousands of dollars on PrizePicks. So pace yourself. We get to do this every single day. Let's have fun. Let's try to make some money. We got some good picks that we put out in today's live stream show. So those would be my tips, my advice to you. Unknown Zinger likes Darius Basley over points, I'm assuming. Jarrett Allen over on points. Luka Doncic over on assist. DeJounte Murray over on fantasy points. And Domantas Sabonis over on points. I think we've talked about all those props. They all look really good today. Bruiser likes Valanciunas under 42.5 fantasy points. Valanciunas has been struggling in a lot of his more recent games, so be careful on Joe Val. I don't know. He's a guy that I feel comfortable taking the over on right now. So, yeah, just, either consider taking the under on Valanciunas or fade. For me, it's probably going to be a fade because I know what Joe Val is capable of. He could put in a huge night any given night. So I'm not going to touch Valanciunas right now. Gabe says, is Embiid for sure playing tonight? As far as I know, I think he is. Franz Wagner over 11.5 points. Well, I'm a Magic fan. I love me some Franz Wagner. I got to watch him live the other night against the Chicago Bulls. Kid is impressive. Franz Wagner can hoop. J-Red does like Joe Val under fantasy. Like I said, I'm not going there. I can't touch it. I'm going to fade Joe Val. Hayden says Basley just got changed to 10 points. Well, that's because the 100 plus people who are watching this live stream have probably went out and smashed the under on Darius Bazley at 10.5 points. So yes, we are influencing the system on PrizePicks, definitely with these live streams. But MF June, good morning to you. I'm gonna head out. It's afternoon now. We're at 12:19 p.m. here on the East Coast. I'm gonna get out of here. I gotta go lock in some entries. I gotta go put up some player prop betting alpha to our Patreon community. I write up posts every day with like 8 or so picks that look really, really good. I go beyond what I can do here in these live streams. So consider joining Patreon, support my work if you would like to. But yeah, I'm going to get out of here, guys. Thank you so much for the 100 of you who have tuned in this morning. Definitely smash a like on your way out. And if you're watching this on the replay, thank you for watching the replay, and make sure you like these videos as well. We will catch you tomorrow. Good luck tonight. Peace. PrizePicks.